And what we're going to be doing is we're going to use the sitemap of this site, okay? So we're lucky that this site has a sitemap. So if we type in the URL of food.com/sitemap.xml, we see we're taken to a sitemap, and no Google Translate. The site is not in Romanian, the site is in XML, okay? So here we have our sitemap. Now this sitemap is a little bit more complicated than usual sitemaps, because usually a sitemap just contains all the links to the pages that they want to, list in their sitemap. This one is a little bit more complicated because what they have done is they have compressed sub-sitemaps. So they have compressed, let's say, 48 other sitemaps into this sitemap. So this sitemap is to explore other sitemaps. So what you would have to do is to create a script that downloads all of these, compressed files. And once it's downloaded them, it opens them up and reads the content of each individual file, and then aggregates all of the files, okay? So I have done that for you because this course is not about scripting and writing bash scripts. Bash is just the machine language to create or to give commands. So if I open up my terminal, bash is just doing cd commands, or bash is doing ls commands and all that, okay? So this is bash. And so I have written a command for you, which basically downloads all of these XML files or compressed XML files and extracts them and aggregates them, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cd into my desktop, and I'm going to paste this command in. And by the way, you can copy this command from the lecture notes, okay? So I'm going to paste this command, and you'll see that this command is pretty long, but essentially what we're going to do is I'm going to explain it really, really quickly, okay? What we're doing is we're going to this website or this XML site here. So for this, we use the curl command. So open up this site, and then using the grep command, we're going to read all of the lines of this XML file, which contain http food.com/sitemap. Okay, so essentially it's all of these lines here. We are filtering out for all of these lines here because the rest we don't care about. And then we're going to essentially delete the LOC tag because we want to clean all of these lines up. So we're reading this line, but we only want this component of the line. So we're going to delete the LOC line. We're going to do the same with the backslash or the /LOC. So essentially what we have done here is we've cleaned up this line and extracted only this bit. And then we're going to do a while loop. So we're going to loop over each one of these that we have found. And we're going to run the curl command again. And we're going to run it over this URL that we have found. So we need to download each one of these files. So that's what we're going to do here. And then we need to run the gunzip command because this is, this is a gz file, so it's compressed as a gzip file. So we need to unzip it using the gunzip command. And then basically we need to do the exact same thing. Once we have unzipped it, we will find a bunch of URLs in that text file. What we need to do is to actually filter for all of them that contain the /recipe, because like this, we know that they are recipes. If we go back to the recipe, we will find that all recipes have this URL, which starts with food.com/recipe. And whatever comes after the /recipe is, let's say, the title of the recipe and a unique ID, okay? So what we need to do is we need to filter out in this unzipped file all of the lines which contain food.com/recipe. Again, clean it and kind of, delete the LOC and the /LOC. And then what this command does is it saves it to a new text file, okay? So if we go ahead and run this, we will see that it will start downloading all of the zip files. Okay, so it's going ahead and downloading all of these zip files. And when it will do that, it will also go into each one and unzip it and generate this text file, filtering only the food.com/recipe files. Okay, and since this may take a while, I'm going to actually go ahead and skip this video to the very end. Okay, so the command is finished. So now I can see in my desktop, I have this file, and if I preview it, and here I'll see a lot of pages with the URL of www.food.com/recipe and then something else, which is essentially what we want, because we know that each one of these URLs is going to be a recipe. So this is going to be our strategy. This is what I was saying when we need to create a strategy. So our strategy will be to load all of these URLs into our parser, and then it will go one by one and fetch the contents of this recipe. So we're doing it like this because we want to cut on development time. We're not interested in creating some kind of extremely Google-like sophisticated parser, because we would lose a lot of time. And what we want to do is to be productive and figure out a fast way of loading all of the URLs of this site into the parser. Okay, so this is what we want to do. And just as a just for curiosity, I'm going to run the wc command, which is word count, and I'm going to run it on the file we have just created. Okay, so here we see, this is pretty fascinating. We have almost 1.5 million URLs in this file. Okay, so we have almost 1.5 million URLs to actually parse. We're not going to go to such an extent because it would consume a lot of resources, and also when we're testing, we always want to work on a small batch of these or a small sample of these URLs. So we're only going to be loading 1000 in, but feel free to load all of them up if you want. Although, you need to also consider that if you're going to be parsing so many URLs, it will take a long time and you will probably consume a lot of resources, and your free quota may, get consumed up. So I recommend you start off with maybe 1000, 10,000, 20 if you want, 20,000 URLs. But, start off small and get the hang of it, of how stuff works. And then you can slowly increase to, if you want to parse all of these 1.5 million URLs, you can feel free to do so. So this is 1.5 million lines we have in this text file. So that's how we know that we have 1.5 million URLs. And then this is basically the amount of words we have in this text file. So what it does is it counts lines, words, and characters, okay? So we have the same amount of words as lines, because each line is a separate word, right? A word is defined by being separated by a space, and since we don't have this in our file, then each line is considered as a word. And then characters here will essentially, how many individual characters we have in this file, okay? So that's how the wc command works.